A 20-year-old New Jersey man allegedly wasn't interested in facing charges in connection with a deadly street race. Why? Because he's accused now of trying to flee the country with the help of his mom. That is the allegation from authorities in multiple states after the pair were taken into custody while trying to fly out of the United States. We're taking a closer look at investigations that cross borders and the potential consequences of trying to get away with a retired FBI agent. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Law enforcement in New Jersey say that this man's reckless actions left one person dead and others seriously injured. But the charges that he faced before have now ballooned into a laundry list of allegations because authorities say he tried to flee the country. According to prosecutors in Middlesex County, state troopers responded to a crash on the Garden State Parkway on June 29th, just after 7 p.m. The New Jersey State Police's Criminal Investigation Office teamed up with the prosecutors' Fatal Crash Investigators team to figure out what exactly happened here. And those investigators say they were able to determine that there were two BMWs. One of them was an M5, the other was an X3. They were racing on the parkway southbound when the X3 hit two other vehicles and ended up rolling over several times and hitting trees. Now, fortunately, the people in the cars that were hit, they were not injured. But the same couldn't be said for the passengers in the BMW SUV. Two people in the X3, a man identified as Alvi Limani and another unidentified person, were ejected from the car. They were both rushed to a hospital where Limani died. He was just 19 years old. The other unidentified passenger had grave injuries. Now, the driver of the X3, let's talk about him, 20-year-old Alvi Limani, and a third passenger, 19-year-old Emily Harrington, both of Staten Island, apparently ran away from the scene of the crash. And it seems that Alvi wasn't done running. According to prosecutors, he was arrested in Miami, where authorities believe he was traveling in order to get onto an international flight and leave the country. Oh, and by the way, he apparently wasn't alone. A TikTok user posted a video from a New York City airport on July 17th that appears to show Alvi and his mother, 42-year-old Vilma Vneshta, being led away from the plane and loaded into police cars. They were handcuffed, their feet were shackled. Fugitive warrants were filed against Alvi and Vilma, and the two were extradited from Miami back to New Jersey. So as you can see, there's a lot of moving parts here. I want to bring in Colin L. Schmitt, a retired FBI agent, president and CEO of Kronos Investigations, to understand exactly what we're talking about when you're trying to apprehend a suspect and what might be happening behind the scenes here. So, Colin, good to see you. Leaving the scene of an accident, never a good idea for multiple reasons, but then allegedly trying to flee from criminal charges, even worse. What do you make of that allegation? And do fugitives, I mean, if these allegations are true, do fugitives actually think they're going to be able to get away? Do they get away?
Well, it doesn't sound like these subjects were very sophisticated in terms of their trying to get away from law enforcement. Obviously, leaving the scene of an accident is an automatic crime. And then I don't think they understood that a warrant was issued. It was put into the system, and then those warrants are all automatically go into the border watch system, where when they run their passport to leave the country, it's going to flag, and then they're going to immediately be detained.
That's why people don't always jump on a plane, right? They find other ways to get out of a place. I don't know, train, buses, car. There's other ways to try to do it.
Exactly. I mean, anybody that's ever traveled outside the country on a plane knows that you're going to end up having to go through some sort of check, whether it be through TSA or through customs or ICE to get on your plane. Now, if they're going to run, they would have potentially run through driving through the Mexican border. But then the Mexican authorities are now becoming very friendly with the United States government in terms of getting these fugitives back. We just got 26 drug trafficking cartel leaders back yesterday. So the ability for criminals in the United States to flee the United States is getting harder and harder with the new administration's leaning in on crime.
By the way, as you're watching this video, you may know that we put out a lot of Sidebar videos out every day, every week, even on the weekends, and we do it using a platform called Opus Clip. So if you're in the content creation game, if you're putting things out on social media, this might be of interest to you. This is an all-in-one AI editor that makes it easier and faster to cut, create, and upload videos across all social media platforms. Through the power of AI, Opus Clip automatically generates B-roll, cleans up audio, it reframes your videos for any platform. Opus Clip is so easy to start using using. Let me show you how. All you got to do is go to opus.pro/sidebar, sign up, and then upload a video. In just a few minutes, you'll have tons of perfectly edited clips ready to go. So whether you're making videos for TikTok or Shorts or Instagram Reels, Opus Clip is your one-stop shop for getting your best content seen by more viewers across all these platforms with the press of just one button. And if you're wondering how good the AI-edited videos are from Opus Clip, just look at our content here at Law&Crime. Our producers have used Opus to help us cut and share clips of some of our most major trials. And having a tool like Opus Clip means we can get you even more viral updates from inside the courtroom faster than ever before. At Sidebar, we know our listeners have a lot of opinions and ideas to share, and this is the most powerful tool there is to help you edit like a pro and grow your own audience. So give it a try for yourself. Go to opus.pro/sidebar to start creating your own videos today. How generally are fugitives tracked down, and how important is the timeline? Does it have to be the first, like they say, the first 48 hours are the most important? How difficult is it, and what should we be thinking about in terms of time frame?
Well, when I was working for the United States Marshal Service as a deputy U.S. Marshal, I chased fugitives as well as with the FBI. It was a little different back then because it was more a street, talking to people, talking to family members, and surveillance. Now it's more electronic. You're looking at their phones, and the phones generally tell the story. And tracking that phone or pinging that phone is usually the first step now in a fugitive investigation versus going out and talking to people.
Now, when it comes to the charges, as I mentioned, Alvi faces just a whole slew of them. He is accused of first-degree aggravated manslaughter, second-degree vehicular manslaughter, second-degree knowingly leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death, third-degree knowingly leaving the scene of an accident resulting in serious bodily injury, third-degree causing death while driving with a suspended license, fourth-degree causing serious injury while driving with a suspended license, 2 counts of third-degree endangering of an injured victim, third-degree tampering with public records, third-degree hindering, and fourth-degree assault by auto. Now, in comparison, his mom, Vilma's charge, seems relatively minor, third-degree hindering, but Colin, she's still in hot water over this. There might be people who say, even though her son is accused of horrific crimes, they might say she's trying to protect her son. She shouldn't have done it, but she was trying to protect her son. 2 questions about that. A, how much trouble is she in? And B, do you see that often? Do you see parents trying to protect their children, trying to have their children escape? I mean, if these allegations are true?
Yeah, I think that's a natural reaction by a parent to protect their child. However, in this case, it's certainly not a good choice or good judgment. And in terms of him, they obviously threw the book at him because there was a death. So she's in a lot of trouble because she did hinder, and they could actually probably find more charges to put on her. But the bottom line is he killed somebody based upon his actions, and now he's going to face justice. And because the authorities leaned in on this and they weren't going to let him get away with it.
So according, by the way, to New Jersey's criminal statute, a person commits the offense of hindering by harboring or concealing another, or providing or aiding in providing a weapon, money, transportation, disguise, or other means of avoiding discovery or apprehension or effecting escape. Colin, it does make me wonder what a potential defense could be in a case like this when it looks really bad. I mean, you wonder, would their defense attorneys argue they were just going on a trip, they were not trying to flee the country, she wasn't trying to help him escape? Does that have any legs to it?
No, because there's going to be, they're going to get the phone communication, the text communications between the two of them. It's going to show that she had knowledge of his crimes. And then if she thinks a jury is going to be sympathetic to her, absolutely not. If their defense is going to hope for jury nullification, not going to happen. Simply, there is really no defense to what she did. I'm sure that if she has the means, she'll hire a lawyer that'll try to come up with one. Bottom line is she helped her son tried to get out of the country, and they both got caught.
That's the allegation. Now, New Jersey sentencing guidelines that we looked up say that if convicted of third-degree hindering apprehension or prosecution, a defendant could be sentenced to at least 1 year in prison. By the way, Colin, as we're talking about street racing and the devastating effects of what's happening, is that something that you investigated at all? Is that a serious crime that we see, a serious event that we see in the United States? Is that happening more frequently? Because obviously you see the plethora of different crimes and charges that could come as a result of a deadly crash like this.
I did investigate that. That's generally a local crime. It is very common in the LA area, not only the street racing, but also the street takeovers. And it appears to be being fueled by social media, especially TikTok, the videos of these takeovers and these street races. And there's even YouTube channels that actually show the races. So there is also a responsibility from the social media companies to kind of take a step back and look at this and not encourage this behavior, because obviously it doesn't end well when they do street racing.
Now, the 19-year-old who allegedly ran from the scene of the accident with Alvi, I mentioned her before, Emily Harrington, faces charges of third-degree hindering, fourth-degree obstruction, and fourth-degree conspiracy to endanger another. This is according to Middlesex County prosecutors. The driver of the car, Alvi was allegedly racing, 23-year-old Jeter Orgando, was charged with second-degree vehicular homicide, third-degree endangering another, and fourth-degree assault by auto. By the way, Colin, just from a legal point of view, they're really hitting them with a lot of charges, and rightfully so, right? I mean, I think they are trying to, I don't know if they'll be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt all of the charges that they're facing, but prosecutors are quite serious about this. This is making a statement.
Well, I think there's two things going on here. Obviously, there was a death or fatality, and the second thing is they want to send a message about this street racing that they've had enough. And they're going to hold people accountable if there is a bad outcome from the street racing, as well as I believe law enforcement is leaning in on to stop the street racing, to immediately arrest people that participate in it, because this is generally a common outcome when they are street racing.
How do you investigate the crime? What are the next steps? Who do you talk to? Is there surveillance that you want to collect? What do you look at with the car, with respect to the cars? What does this kind of investigation look like?
Well, they're always going to start with the car itself and do an accident reconstruction and take a step back. The second thing is there's onboard computers on both cars. They're going to pull that and look at the onboard computers. Then they'll take another step back and look and talk to the witnesses that were there, as well as any of the surviving people that were in the cars. And then the next step would be look at this for social media. There's going to be social media out there. It's going to be probably on some channel watching the act. Then they'll take another step back and then once again get the phones, look was on the phone, see if it was text messages before the street race showing their intent to do this.
But it is deterrence too, right? I mean, you want to make sure that this sends a message that this is not going to be tolerated, and you can be charged quite severely, and if you allegedly try to help your family escape justice.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what the clear message they're sending is they've had enough, and they're going to crack down on this, and anybody that does it's going to come to justice.
Now, according to the New York Post, Albion Heisenaj's uncle, Para Maradi, was quite upset by the social media posts that he'd seen that had praised Vilma for, quote, helping her son. Quote, people put posts saying it's a mother's love, but how does my sister feel now? People want to compare and say a mother would do that for their child, but nobody's putting themselves in my sister's shoes who actually lost a child. I believe she deserves time. She deserves to go to jail as well. She shouldn't be walking free. Being a mother, she should have thought about what happened to my sister. What if they would have gotten him out of the country? We wouldn't have gotten any justice. But I will tell you, Maradi's ire isn't just directed at Vilma. He is also quite angry with Alvi for allegedly causing the crash that killed his nephew. How do you leave your friend? What if he could have saved him? What if that little bit of help put your hand on a wound there? What if he could have helped him? He could have called 911. He could have done anything. So a number of good points there, Colin. That's the danger of leaving the scene. And also why you cannot excuse this mother in any way for what she allegedly did.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're seeing a sea change in our culture. There was over the last many years that this restorative justice, or there's just basically forgetting the victims. Now it appears that the culture is going back to where we're focusing on the victims, and we're focusing on the harm that these criminals do to the community when their actions kill somebody or harm somebody. So he is spot on. And the second point, of course, is the social media aspect of this. There has to be some sort of reckoning in terms of, is the social media encouraging this behavior, because there's young people being hurt and killed.
And I think that's actually previews what an opening statement would look like by a prosecutor, talking about the gravity of this crime, talking about if he would have stayed you know, again, assuming these allegations are true, if he would have stayed, he could have potentially saved his friend's life, how Vilma's alleged actions would have prevented justice in this case for the victims. I don't know if they would actually be tried together. Probably not, if I had to guess, but we'll see. I will say they're expected to have detention hearings in New Jersey this week. I can't imagine bail is an option for them.
No, because they've already demonstrated flight risk. So if there is a bail, it's going to be exceedingly high, and they're going to be held in custody.
Now, I will also tell you that the investigation into this crash is still ongoing. The state troopers, the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office, they're asking anyone with any information or video to reach out to them right away. How do investigators sort through that information from the public? How do they get information from the public? How does that work?
Well, they put the call out, and then they probably have a 1-800 number, or they can submit the video via Dropbox or something like that. And then it's all going to come down to the investigators know that what happened. They're going to filter it based upon the time and date and location, because they're going to also get a lot of garbage. Unfortunately, it's going to come in. So they're going to have somebody that's going to quickly filter through this, find the best video, and get that in front of the prosecutors.
Yeah. And by the way, what do you think the chances were that they could have, again, assuming these allegations are true, that they could have escaped? If they left, how difficult would it have been to get them back?
Well, it depends on which country they went to. You know, most countries have extradition with the United States, some don't. Generally, if they're not a citizen of another country, what that country will do is just expel them or deport them back to the United States. So it's getting better with this administration and their aggressive nature of getting these people back. But I think eventually they would have been brought to justice, because it doesn't appear they would have had the means to stand the run for a long time.
And to be clear, it's not just murder charges, a murder suspect who you want to try to have extradited. These are manslaughter charges, they're hindering charges, but that would be sufficient, right? There's always active steps to get back alleged criminals who commit all sorts of crimes.
Generally, as long as it's a crime in the other country, then they'll be can go into extradition if there is an extradition treaty, or be deported back to the United States.
And you wonder if they gather more evidence like we're talking about during the course of this investigation, that will make it a stronger case, potentially put pressure on them to plead guilty, particularly probably for Vilma, since she's facing the lesser charge. But it's ongoing, and our hearts, our prayers, our thoughts are with the families, because this is a really difficult case. This shouldn't happen. Street racing is so incredibly dangerous, and you just have to remember who's left behind. You might think it's fun, you might think it's games, you might think it's a good time, but look at what's happening right now. Look at how many lives have been destroyed as a result of this. Colin Schmitt, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.